So I've been wanting to make this video for over 2 years now, but I just kept procrastinating and it never happened. But it's happening today. So I want to talk about the modern poetry books that I read about 3 years ago that really helped me through my breakup. And I understand that modern poetry is not for everyone. Not everyone likes it. And I feel like those who do like it, a lot of the time, it's because you're at that point where those words just make sense to you at the perfect time. Like, you know, when you listen to a song and you don't really resonate with it, but then at some other point of your life, you listen to it and it just clicks, it just makes sense, and you just love that song. Yeah, that's what I feel like modern poetry is for a lot of people. So I'm going to talk about the books that I read that I really resonated with, and it really helped shape me into the person I am today. It eventually gave me the courage to write out my own feelings and write my own poetry, and I ended up writing 2 books. So that's a lot of like poems and prose. So I feel like it could maybe help some of you who are facing your own kind of heartbreak these days. So yeah, these are the books that I read. So the first book that I want to talk about is Your Soul is a River by Nikita Gill. And this was the first modern poetry book that made me want to read more modern poetry books. It's because I really, really loved the way that Nikita Gill talked about emotion and feelings, but metaphorically through talking about nature and the universe and things like that. So it's been a while, so I don't remember exactly what I thought about the book. I remember that I read the ebook first and I loved it so much that I was screenshotting a lot of the poems, and I just had to have like the physical book with me to dog ear all the pages that I really liked. So yes, I would highly recommend reading this one. I feel like if I read it again, I might not feel the same way, but at that point of my life, it was just perfect. The next one that I would like to talk about, I actually have a copy of, and it is Heart by Aisha. And this is definitely one of my favorites because I just read it at the perfect time of my life that many of Aisha's poems just really resonated with me. Like, you can see how many pages I've dog-eared throughout the book. It's a lot. It's like most of the book basically. And I think it was because Aisha is also a fellow Muslim, and like some of her writing, it's more relatable for Muslim women. At that time, it just felt like someone understood me even more, you know, going through the kind of love that I did. So I would highly recommend reading Heart by Aisha, and she's actually a wonderful person. We became friends after I read this book, and I think I got her signature. Yeah. I got her to sign my book when I met up with her finally about a year ago. So yes, this is definitely one of my favorites and I would highly recommend it. So next, I want to talk about Lang Liav's books. And I know that not a lot of people are a fan of Lang Liav, and I personally didn't really like her as well, like her books. Especially when I started reading her first one, which was Love and Misadventure. I did not like that. But I gave the second book a chance. It was Lullabies, and I really, really liked it. There was some really good pieces in Lullabies that I really resonated with. So it made me want to try out even more of her writing. So the third book that I read by her was The Universe of Us. And it's the pink one, it's the pretty pink one. To be honest, this is probably my favorite book by Lang Liav. And I would even go so far as to say it's my favorite modern poetry book of all time. And I think it was because I read it at the right time, and there was so many different poems that I really, really liked and I just could really relate to. I started out reading these 2 books on ebook as well, but because I just liked so many pages, I had to order my own copies of these books and dog-ear each one. I actually don't have these books anymore. I lent it to a friend and I never got them back. But yes, Lullabies and The Universe of Us, especially The Universe of Us. I love that one so much. Okay, so the next one that I want to talk about is a book called Stuff I've Been Feeling Lately by Alicia. And this one is a really interesting one because it's unlike any of the other ones that I've read. So the book is basically split into two parts, and the first half is, you know, poetry, and the second half is the exact same thing as the first half, except it's blackout poetry. I don't really know how to explain blackout poetry, but it's a really clever way of playing with words that are already there and making a poem out of those words. So I feel like that was really clever. Although I didn't really enjoy the blackout poetry section, the normal section, the first half, was really, really good. And Alicia Cook actually had like a song written at the end of each poem, where basically she says like, currently listening to this song. So I guess those are the songs that inspired her to write those poems. And I was actually inspired to do something similar for my own books later on when I wrote them. So yes, Stuff I've Been Feeling Lately is a good one to read as well. Okay, so the next one that I want to recommend is Love Her Wild by Atticus Poetry. Now, I didn't love this book. It wasn't like amazing, but I really liked it. I still really enjoyed it. And it was a quick read. I read it in like half an hour because they were very, very short poems. But I think what I liked about Love Her Wild was more on the aspect of love itself. Like the way the author expressed his love for this woman. I don't exactly remember the contents of the book. I just remember like, wow, some of the poems are really like, made me believe in love again. So yeah, Love Her Wild. So those are the books that I read that helped me through my heartbreak, and eventually I went on to write my own poems, and it led to me publishing this little baby right here. And I'm just gonna self-promote myself right here and tell you that if you're gonna read a modern poetry book, read one of the ones that I read, read all of the ones that I read, and also read An Ocean of Grey. I've been told by many of my readers that it really helped them through their heartbreak, and it meant a lot that they went out of their way to take the time to tell me personally how they found my book. So yeah, based on those people, because I don't know what it's like to read this from another person's perspective, read An Ocean of Grey. It's very sad. I look back on it and I read it and I don't resonate with the emotions anymore, but I do know that I was really sad, and it's really sad. It does feel like a lot like you're reading someone's diary, as a lot of people have reviewed. That's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, the way you read poetry, you can either read it as yourself and relating to the poem, or you can read it as the person who wrote it and empathize with them. So yes, give An Ocean of Grey a go. If you don't want to buy the physical copy, it is a bit pricey. It's about 40 ringgit. You can get the ebook edition for half the price on Meraki Press's website. If you're giving this a go, you can even read my second book, A Wave of Dreams. Now this one is a lot happier than this one. It still has a lot of sad poems because I was still getting through heartbreak, I guess, when I first wrote it. But it is a lot lighter, it's not as sad, and it's a lot more, there's a lot more growth in this one, I think. And it's a lot more about me rather than my heartbreak. So yeah, so these are the books that I read, and I would classify them as modern poetry as well. So if you do enjoy Lang Liao's books, Rupi Kaur's books, who else? Nikita Gill's books, all those poets, yes, I would recommend giving these a go as well.
I just want to show you what it looks like on ebook. So this is an ebook of A Wave of Dreams. So you can read it on whatever device you have. Whatever you're watching this on, you can probably read the ebook on that device. So you can read it on your phone, a tablet, an iPad, a laptop, anything really. So we have it on our website for you to purchase, and you can get it in either EPUB format or PDF format.
If you have any other recommendations for modern poetry books that you feel would help people get through heartbreak, please comment down below and tell us all what those books are. Or even if they're not poetry books, if they're self-help books, if they're fiction books, write it down, let us know, let's help each other out. So yes, thank you so much for watching. I'll hopefully see you in another video. I don't know, I'm not gonna promise, but Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.